Hey everyone, Genome here, coming to my next top 10 list in Marvel Strike Force. Today's category is going to involve a sometimes maligned class of characters, and that is none other than the Mystic characters. There's some really great ones in this game, and there's some real stinkers, like just about any other class in the game, but this one's really polarized. So I figured I'd go ahead and do a quick rundown of what I find are the top 10 Mystic characters in the game to use, and so thus probably gear at some point, for those of you out there who are wondering.
Let's begin. Make your thoughts fruitful and your words eloquent.
I did exclude a couple characters though, because I don't really have any experience playing them, and let me go ahead and give you my two honorable mentions right now. Alright, my first honorable mention is Ultimus. Here he's getting quite a bit of late game play and like war and things like that. I haven't finished DD3 or anything, so I don't have any red stars on him, so it's very little point in me working on him. Plus there's a lot of other characters that are more important that I need to work on, so I just don't have the resources to dump into him. I am basically a free-to-play, well, I'm not basically, I am a free-to-play player, so just no room for Ultimus in there, but I hear he's pretty great, and he does have a really interesting kit, so he's my first honorable mention. And my second one, of course, is Dr. Doom. I have no experience playing him, but he's going to be obviously a pretty powerful character, even though he's getting some reports of not being all he was hyped up to be. But it's kind of hard to be the next Ultron because he was just so game-breaking, and he's going against the Black Order, so it's hard to shine among those. So those are my two honorable mentions, Ultimus and Dr. Doom. Okay, so for my number 10 pick for Best Mystic Character, she was also my number 10 pick for Best Blaster Character, and that is Elsa Bloodstone. I absolutely love her kit. I love the character. Everything about her is just cool, and it just works well. Another thing I want to talk about as a facet to this list is these are all going to be good standalone characters, right? These are all going to be characters you don't have to have on their team to be good, right? So you can plug these characters into a lot of places where there's an open slot. So just want to let you know about that. And Elsa is a good example of that. Even in raids, maybe early U7 and stuff, she can provide a vital service. Like if there's some tags there, like global or something, that you need to use, there's far worse characters to use. She has excellent damage output. She has a varied kit that does a lot of things very well. You got AoE, you got Execute, and you got her basic, which beats things like Dodge, Death Proof, that sort of thing. I love multi-hit basics, and she's just all-around good character. And plus, your basic is really fun, especially in raids, because you run across a lot of Spider-Mans, Visions, Miles, the really dodgy characters. Her passive works very well to combat that, even though it really is designed for Supernatural. For her, it still works. So Elsa Bloodstone is my number 10 pick for Best Mystic Character. So for my number 9 pick, I'm going to go with Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is a pretty good character. He's just hampered by a lack of health and defense, especially off of a Supernatural team. But the Supernatural team doesn't have a lot of defense anyway, other than maybe Ghost Rider, So it's a team that's just crying out for some sort of protector, but that's a story for another day. But his kit itself works really well as a plug-and-play character. In fact, you can use him in things like raids and even Dark Dimensions, where the enemy team gets tons of buffs, right? Because Winds of Atum will just flip all those for the most part, and it's a hugely powerful play. Plus, he has a res. Unfortunately, it takes a long time to get to his res unless you have some way of feeding him energy. So it's not 100% reliable, and he is so fragile. Usually he'd be the one needing the res. But it is what it is, and I think he's just a really solid character, for players to plug in, especially on things like Mystic nodes and Cosmic nodes, right? Pretty powerful character, just really weak on defense, serious glass cannon, and my number 9 pick is Doctor Strange. So for my number 8 pick, I'm kind of going to keep in the same Supernatural thing. It's funny, my first, 10, 9, and 8 so far have been Supernatural characters. But my number 8 pick is Mordo. And Mordo is really good, but super squishy, even more so than Doctor Strange. Even though Mordo does have some self-heal going on, Doctor Strange actually gives himself deflects on opposite team buffs, so he's got a little more staying power, but Mordo's just like him. He is a glass cannon for sure, but his kit is probably a little better than Mordo's, actually, at least as far as control goes. He's no damage. There's no damage in this character. Same with Strange either. But he does have a lot of good control elements. I mean, his basic plants 1 to 2 negative effects. That's always good. Usually it's the third thing you use. His best move is definitely his special, which if you T4 it will stun automatically or upon use, which is also very strong. But right now it blinds or stuns. It's a strange one. I don't know. I've never put the T4 in this because one thing I only use Supernatural mostly in war, but sometimes I'll use them in raids too. Sometimes I like to blind better, but I would say the vast consensus is that the stun is better, so T4 is actually not a bad idea, but only if you're going to use him a lot. Now, I know that Mordo's getting quite a bit of use, I think, in DD4 now. Some of these super whales have been using him there, but that's beyond what I got going on, of course. And, of course, Demon's the Knack. It just hits everything. That's the main thing that's strong against this, because there's not a whole lot of healing. You have to worry about in, like, raids and things like that, but a lot of times you'll have, like, something that's on Death's Door that's behind in taunt. Well, this will get to him, and Spider-Man won't dodge it and things like that. Just a good basic, or excuse me, good passive and all that. Just makes him a pretty good plug-and-play character, and I think he's definitely worthy of being the number 8 pick. Alright, so for my number 7 pick, it's Juggernaut. And I've actually used him on Supernatural team, so we have another Supernatural tie-in. But it's really hard to pull him off the Brotherhood because he's made for that team, right? But he's a great tank on the Brotherhood and a pretty good standalone tank outside of it. He's just multi-use, right? And basically, once he gets his taunt up, his special used, you're not going to pull these buffs off of him. It's next to impossible. We basically got to kill him. And meanwhile, while we're trying to kill him, he's just getting more and more speed bar, right? So he's going to throw his ultimate off, which does really big damage. He is a hybrid tank. Basically, he's the epitome of a hybrid tank, right? He's a big damage tank, but he does keep the heat off your team for 1 or 2 turns, depending if he's with Magneto or whatever. It's an interesting passive because, like I said, he gets speed up. It starts filling his speed bar the more he gets attacked with Magneto. So he's not the best tank for pulling the heat off your team for long periods of time, like Colossus just keeps getting taunt, keeps getting defense up, and all that good stuff. Basically, Juggernaut's more of a one-trick pony like that. The whole thing is getting him to his ultimate, right, so he can do some devastating damage. But it's just a good, solid character, and he can be used outside of his team, and that makes him my 7th pick for Best Mystic Character. Okay, for my number 6th pick, it's Thor. I've never really been high on this character as a standalone character, but he's decent. He does get a lot of bonus points for basically unlocking 2 of the best legendaries in the game with Black Bolt and indirectly Ebony Maw through Black Bolt. But I tried to give too much weight to that, but there's no denying like the power of him in certain instances. Once again, I tried not to put characters on here that were just good on their teams, but he's good on 2 teams. In fact, he's like maybe the best character on 2 teams. It's pretty crazy. Between Asgardians and Avengers, this guy does work. It's all because of his passive. None of his other kit is all that impressive, really. His damage is very middle of the road, nothing to write home about. It's just his passive is so good on those teams. Especially, I'd say, it's probably even better on Wave 1 Avengers, to be honest with you, because it seems to build faster, because you got 2 tanks there. Between Hulk and Cap, there's going to be a lot of back and forth taunts getting thrown up, so that might make his passive go off a couple times a match, and that's just huge damage. So all the things I tried to avoid in this list, I couldn't avoid it completely with Thor. I still don't think too much of him as a standalone character, but he's decent, but it's just he has so much synergy with a couple other things, and he's so important about unlocking good characters that I had to include him on the list, and it makes him my number 6 pick for Best Mystic Character. Alright, we're now at the top 5 now, so for my number 5 pick for Best Mystic Character is going to be Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider's kit is one of my favorites in the game because it completely changes how you play against the other team, assuming they're the ones with the Ghost Rider, right? For example, and if it's in real time, they have to be thinking the same way. You have to make big decision right from the outset, and you try to zerg down Ghost Rider and save yourself all that retaliatory damage he's going to do over the course of the fight, right? But when you do that, he's going to give a ton of buffs to the team and energy, right? Or do you actually try to kill the people around him who are usually squishier than he is, right? Eat his retaliatory damage to save him for last. It's very different, man, how you approach fights with Ghost Riders on the team. So I really enjoy that aspect of him. Now, as a standalone character, he fits pretty well into a lot of different teams, and he has a season tag by now, by the way, so I've been using him a lot in like U7, where he's not bad. I used him in Dark Dimension 2 for a little while too, just because he's a very sturdy character. He can take some hits, right? And he does have a way to recoup energy, or health, excuse me, with Penance Stare if teammates are dying. His damage is probably kind of middle of the road, maybe even lower than I'd like it to be honest, even though he can do quite a bit. But usually that involves supernatural team and or other characters dying, and that's not usually too healthy for you. So he's a great character, but he's missing something, and I don't know what it is yet. I would like to use him more often. You see how much resources I have pumped into him, but he's been a bit of a disappointment in some ways. But at the same time, he's an excellent plug-and-play character, and he definitely makes it a much more challenging endeavor to go against him when he's on the other side of the field. So my number 5 pick is Ghost Rider. Okay, so for my number 4 pick is Loki, and basically everything he does is wrapped up into his ultimate and a little bit of his passive. Passive is nice with the focus, but really the thing about him is speed, speed, speed. Oh my gosh, this guy is fast. It's not too many characters in the game that go quicker than him. An empowered Thanos, Baron Zemo, one or two other characters are as fast or a little bit faster than him, but he's quick. And it's incredibly dangerous because at the very outside of the fight, he can throw out his special. And depending on who he targets, and what your team makeup is, this can one-shot a lot of characters in this game. Like basically any Mystic on this list other than Juggernaut's probably going to get one shot, or Ghost Rider. But, or Thanos, but that's for later. It's an incredibly devastating move, and if it's paired up with somebody who can follow up, it used to be really popular to throw Captain Marvel on the team with him, because she could clean up basically anybody who survived the first hit. So then you're automatically 4 versus 5. It was brutal, and like I said, there's not a lot of ways to stop this move. It's incredibly strong, and it's still good to this day, and it's what makes Asgardians as good as they are, to be honest with you, because you almost don't want it to kill people, right? You want it to almost kill them, and then you want Hela to spread all that to everybody else, because it throws defense down, too, on the character. So, extremely potent character, but only for, like, the first 2 turns. His mirrored image is actually not bad either. It adds a lot of sustain to the group. Once he's done that, though, he's basically out of the fight, and unless he's with Asgardians, where he can throw out stealths, to injured characters, his usefulness kind of dries up then. But he does so much in the initial outburst that it's hard to deny how good he is. Like, use him in real-time arena, you'd be surprised how many wins you'll get because of him. And yeah, so all that makes him my number 4 favorite character as far as the Mystics go. Alright, for my number 3 pick, it's going to be Hela. Yes, Hela. She's extremely strong, and much like Thor and Loki before her, she helps unlock maybe the best early game legendary in the game in Black Bolt, and through him, of course, later Ebony Maw. That just counts for all 3 of them, but I'm trying not to weigh that too much in this ranking. Hela's just good on her own. Big damage, especially on her ultimate. Just a useful kit overall. She clears death proofs. She rewinds turn meter. Her summon Greg is amazing, because every time he eats an attack, it's basically healing for double, because he's taking the damage that you would have taken normally if they had targeted you, and he's healing up Hela with it. Not to mention rewinding their turn bar for the rest of the team. So it's just an incredibly good thing, and you can't kill Greg. Everyone knows about Hela. She's amazing. Great standalone character, and yeah, what else can you say about her? She's easily top 3 in this list, and there she is, number 3 on the list. So it shows you how good the next 2 are. So Hela is my number 3 pick. Alright, for my number 2 pick, I'm going with Ebony Maw. Now, Ebony Maw might be number 1 pick on most people's list, but I get a little bit less use out of him than I do my number 1 pick. But Ebony Maw is a beast. He's so good. He's good in every game mode. He's great on the Black Order, basically an integral piece, one of the 3 integral pieces on that team. But he's also great as a solo character. He's great with just him and Thanos. He's great with him, Thanos, and Cull Obsidian. The list goes on and on. He's just good. He's all around good. His first move, depending on who the other team has, can basically negate almost all damage for the first 2 turns, with the defense up on your team for 2 turns and then offense down on theirs. It's just brutal. He's going to throw up all kinds of barriers and all that stuff. He's just such a good character. There's no need to go into it too much. I love it because his basic is a multi-hit, so he's great against dodgy characters or characters that have death proof, that sort of thing. It's better than a lot of people give it credit for. Everything he does is just good. He's basically got Minerva and like maybe Groot mixed in together, but better. He's just a great hybrid character. He's good at everywhere. He's maybe the best plug-and-play character in the entire game because he's good. Doesn't matter what team he's on, Mystic or otherwise. Amazing character. Get him as soon as you can, and he's my number 2 pick for best Mystic character in the game. And my number 1 pick for best Mystic character in the game is Thanos. Thanos. How do we love thee? And I'm not just talking about empowered Thanos either. I am talking about regular Thanos. I use him just as much, if not more, than empowered Thanos, right? Because I use Thanos in my everyday raid teams in U7. I've made some videos in the past showing how he and Black Bolt can basically run the table against opposing teams like nobody's business. He's an energy battery. He's a lot like Star-Lord in that, but I'd say he's way better as an energy battery in most game modes, especially when enemies are falling pretty quick. He just starts pumping the energy out, and if you put him on the edge, he's just feeding one character, Black Bolt. Black Bolt is ulting constantly, and it just devastates the opposing team, right? Thanos is a good tank because he's feeding himself energy too, so upon enemy kills, he's getting more energy, so he can just keep taunting over and over and over again. He's got a way to recoup his energy, an energy bomb, right? Usually that's a full heal on probably anything with 6 or more characters on the other side of the field that weren't at death door already. So he's doing damage and healing at the same time. That's a really vital thing, and it's pretty rare when you can use his basic, but it's there. But it's just Titan Eternal is where it's at. Him feeding energy to specified characters that you can control is incredibly strong, and you'll be just throwing energy left and right with this guy. And of course, you don't need to talk about Empowered too much. It's the best arena team, and it's basically the best war team. Maybe not as good, quite as good as like a Doc Ock chargeable Sinister Six, but I mean, it's for all around, for defense and offense. I'd say that that Black Order is the best war team as well. So basically, you can use them in raids, really, for a note or two. Not a whole lot of sustain there, but he's just an amazing character. Any way you slice it, he's so valuable. Make sure you get him. I've really slept on this guy for a long time. Then I pulled 7 reds on him out of a basic Red Star Orb like a year ago. It took me a long time to get him leveled up to the node, right? Because it takes a while to get there. But he's an exceptionally strong character. He's good in both his normal and his empowered form, and he easily makes my number 1 pick as best Mystic character in Marvel Strike Force.
That's what I was going to say.
So, what say you? How was this list, and where would you rank everyone in there that I put? Or did I not put some people on there that you think should have been there? The Mystic is, like I said, it's really delineated badly between either decent and good characters or unusable, as far as I'm concerned. There is a lot of characters in there, too, also that go towards Phoenix, Mystic Controller. But just because Hand Assassin or Ronin helps unlock Phoenix does not make them good, and doesn't make them worthy of being on this list. Thor got a break because he is actually good on 2 different teams, and as a standalone character, he's not horrendous, right? But anyway, yeah, that's my team, so let me know what you think in the comments below, or if you make any changes to it. I'd like to hear about those as well. And until next time, this is Genome, out.
Finish him!